Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 11 of the Rickenbacker 620 12 string build. And in this episode we're going to make a set of those fancy fretboard markers that you see on Rickenbackers. Okay, so in the last episode we did quite a lot of work kind of moving forward with the body end of things, and we've got to the stage where this top is kind of pretty much the shape it needs to be, and we've routed in some of the binding channels. As I've said previously, I'm going to leave the rest of it until the body's all completely glued on and everything, but I just needed to do these bits before I glued it on because I wouldn't be able to get the router in otherwise. So that's all done. So we've made some really solid progress there. But I'm going to leave that end of the body now for a couple of reasons. One, I've spent quite a lot of time to get it to that stage and I could probably do with a little bit of a break. And secondly, I'm kind of waiting for some hardware to turn up before I can do kind of the pickup routes, etc, etc. So we'll step away from that and we'll turn our attentions to what is going to be quite an involved part of the build, and that is the fretboard. Now, fretboards are usually quite a lot of work because you have to radius them, you have to slot them, you have to fret them, you have to put the markers in, etc, etc. And this one has got all of that and more. Let me get this out of the way and I'll explain. Because if we look on the drawing, we can see that it has all these kind of fancy position markers. Now, they haven't all got them. Some of them have got dots, which are very straightforward to do, but I just don't think it would look the same without them. The fretboard is also bound, so that's something else that we need to take into account. Now, I just feel as we're doing a Rickenbacker style guitar, we need to put these markers on. It just wouldn't be the same without them. So they are going to go on. So to do the fretboard, I have got a nice piece of rosewood, which is fairly plain looking, but it has got a little bit of figure in there. I like the way that the figure sort of runs kind of parallel to the board. So I think that's going to look very nice. Now, these aren't mother of pearl inlays. It would cost an absolute fortune to do it that way. And on the drawing, it actually specifies that they're pearloid, which is basically a nitrocellulose material. So I've got myself a little sheet of nitrocellulose pearloid. Now, I have been assured by the manufacturer that once this is cut to shape, inserted into the fretboard, this will polish up like mother of pearl and you'll get a glossy finish on it, which is what I'm after. So that's what we're going to do for the fretboard, and I think it's going to look very, very nice. In terms of binding, I'm just going to put a cream plastic binding around the fretboard. And pretty much like everything else, this process is going to start by making a template, or to be more precise, a set of templates for all of these position markers. Now, I'd always thought with these markers on a Rickenbacker that this edge was a radius. I don't know why. It might just be a trick of the light because it's actually inset into a radiused fingerboard. I don't know, but I just always assumed that it was radius, but it isn't. It's definitely a straight line. Now, it's not just a function of this plan that it's a straight line. I've actually checked a lot of drawings and close-up photographs and stuff of other Rickenbackers, and they are straight, which is actually quite a good thing because it just means cutting these out and routing out the fretboard to inlay them is going to be much, much easier that way. Which is good. So I'll just carry on working my way down. There's not that many of these actually, I'm just going to think about it. But I'll just get these all traced out and then we can cut them out individually and kind of glue them onto that sheet of pearloid in such a way that we're not going to be wasting too much of it. If I could have a bit left over for other jobs, that would be really, really good. Never know. We could actually do an inlay or something for the headstock with it. Wouldn't be very Rickenbacker-esque, but might make a change, eh? Okay, and that's them all glued on. I've just used a bit of tight bond on there. Hopefully that'll be enough just to hold it on while we cut it all out. You might notice I've actually numbered these so I know which one is which, even though it is kind of fairly obvious, but better safe than sorry, eh? So I'll set that to one side now to dry, and then we can look at getting it cut out. Okay, so I've left those for a bit. They are really nice and dry, so we can start to get these cut out. Now, something occurred to me while I was doing this, and that is these markers actually extend right the way across the fretboard and meet with the binding, so there's no margin around them of fretboard. They go right the way across. Now my fretboard is going to be marginally wider at the nut than it will be on the drawing. So what I'm going to do when I cut these out is I'm going to leave a margin at the top and bottom of them. And I'll cut them out individually and trim up to the two kind of long edges so that they're the right shape but they're not the right width. And then once when we're further along with the fretboard and we're actually getting these fitted, I can then trim them down along the edges, and that will give me a nice tight fit into the binding when we put that on. I'm hoping that this is going to be quite soft to cut. Potentially I could do it on the bandsaw, but I've got quite a rough blade on there. I think it's like a 6 TPI blade, so I'm going to try and do these with a little handsaw, get them cut out, and then take them to the disc sander and just clean those long edges up. And there they are, all cut out. That seems to have gone very, very nicely. This material actually does cut quite well. A little bit of a problem on the disc sander because it was kind of creating a burr that was dragging past the bit of wood I had set up on the sander, and that was making it a little bit difficult to get them off. But apart from that, it's all gone really, really well. They're a little bit oversized lengthways at the moment, but we can get that sorted out once we actually fit these things for real. I'm really happy with the way that those have gone. The sheet of pearloid actually wasn't that expensive. It was about £15, and as you can see, I've got loads of it left. So that will come in handy, I'm sure, for something else. In terms of getting the templates off, I was surprised how easily that actually came off. 5 minutes soaking in some warm water and they just literally rubbed off with my fingers, and it's taken all the adhesive off the pearloid as well. So again, that's gone really well. In terms of moving forward with this, we need to do some work on the fingerboard now, get this thinned down. It's about 10mm at the moment. I need to rough it down to about 7mm, and then we can start to work on it from there. But I'm going to leave that till next time. I think we've covered enough ground on this episode. So I'll be back in a couple of days' time when we can crack on with that. Until then, smash that like button if you've enjoyed this, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.